like the video in 5 seconds or John Cena will actually turn invisible. As good as WWE's television has been over the last number of weeks, we'd be remiss in saying their documentaries, specials, and just about anything that isn't live TV has been this good or very better for a very long time. WWE 24s, the Chronicles, the Day of pay-per-view videos, and many more of these WWE original exclusives have been churning out great editing and even better little nuggets of our favorite superstars. I'm D Wicked from Watch WWE, and these are 10 shocking recent WWE Backstage moments. Maybe that title could use some work. Number 10, Randy Orton lowers the bar. Did you ever think you'd see WWE veteran, future Hall of Famer, and guaranteed legend post-legend killing days Randall Keith Orton putting himself in any position lower than that of the prestiged professional wrestler? I'm already out of fucking breath. If you answered yes, and it's because he was once locked up in a military prison, you might be a bit of a prick. When it comes to his time around that squared circle though, Mr. Snake Man has two options apparently. The apex predator Randy Orton, or Randy Orton, the hidden druid. As at Super Showdown, Randy bugged production by asking if he could aid The Undertaker's entrance by appearing as one of the masked druids, and the fucker actually went for it.
Hey, Randy Orton would like to know if he could possibly be a druid tonight, just to say that he did it.
Number 9, John Cena's prep.
What time is Raw reunion? What time does it start? It's now? What time do I go? Now? It's Raw reunion!
I'd say for the majority of the non-public speaking population, the most difficult part of a speech is actually not the speech at all, but the build-up to it just moments beforehand. For some people, the idea of flicking a mental switch and just suddenly being in the mode, doesn't just not exist, but may not even be that comprehensible. On the complete opposite side of that spectrum, you've got a guy like John Cena, who's been addressing WWE live audiences for 17 years now, with at least 14 of those spent as the literal poster boy of the company. So he's like a little bit better than this whole public speaking thing than most. So moments before his big moments, instead of gathering his thoughts, John gathers the emotions by keeping it playful just before walking out, which isn't only a little bit shocking, but also some damn good advice. Thank you, John Cena's Twitter.
Kicking off the Raw reunion with the 16-time WWE Champion!
Number 8, Ric Flair being Ric Flair. If you watched the last clip and thought, wow, I could never do something like that, where's he getting that confidence from, then maybe you should just skip this next entry entirely, because Ric's about to Flair walk all over that shit. Similarly lighthearted, Flair's pre-game seems to be simple. Just literally just be Ric Flair. Number 7, Xavier and Stephanie get shocked. Literally. Get it? Well, no, it's not. It's not literal. Stephanie's already been kidnapped and nearly crucified before. Lord knows she doesn't need to deal with electrocution too. Her brother's nuts can attest to that. No, this moment, like the previous ones, is far more lighthearted. Stephanie was busy showing off the enjoyable side of her personality, most often neglected on television, to Xavier Woods prior to WrestleMania while discussing his pancake attire before something loud, let's call it a wood chipper, why not, goes off and scares the shit out of Xavier.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
You know what I'm saying?
See, this is...
I'm
Thank
right
you.
there with
Thank
you.
Number 6, Stone Cold did what?
I can't believe it!
If the Texas Rattlesnake Stone Cold Steve Austin is infamous for anything, it isn't the middle fingers or the what chants. I would say it's the copious amounts of beer intake. Think about it. Just about every single iconic Steve Austin moment ends with him blasting apart 2 cans before slamming them back and passing them around to anyone in the vicinity. And when it comes to Stone Cold and his beer, let me tell you, he does not miss. He always has someone ready to chuck some beer in after a match or a promo, and he always catches it. He's never missed, never, not once. You can even search YouTube right now, hit I on your keyboard, type Stone Cold misses beer, and all you're gonna get is him chucking shit at Kurt Angle, which, was probably worth a watch. This makes it nearly heartbreaking when the man who caters to the alcoholic beverage so well drops an entire cooler full of the stuff. R.I.P. to the cold ones.
I must regain my composure now.
Number 5, Vince and Shane post-Mania 32. Anyone who watched the build-up to WrestleMania 32 live remembers one thing that stands out far and away above everything else. Shane McMahon. While AJ Styles' Royal Rumble debut and subsequent Jericho feud was pretty damn great, it was nothing on the batshit lunacy booking of the returned prodigal son, who, don't forget, hadn't been seen within this company in 7 years by that point. While he'd fight Taker with some very bizarre circumstances surrounding it, the real feud here was mainly McMahon's at odds with Shane trying to take control of Raw and his father squandering the hopes around every corner. It seemed pretty real, too. In an era that still wasn't this new era we're in now, this was easily the most hyped up anything going on, so it was really easy to get invested into that hatred-built storyline, especially knowing Vince, how we know him with his own fatherly issues and the whole background surrounding Shane leaving for 7 years. It was honestly a bit surprising seeing just how much raw emotion ran backstage after that match.
I went over and I hugged my dad. I got one of my first pats on the back that night.
Number 4, Kevin Owens with the Universal Championship. KO's first and only world title win is shocking from 2 different time perspectives. Live, back in 2017, it was unbelievable that a dude who full-on represented the indies and who had that body type was top dog on Monday nights. And that's not a diss, that's impressive. In hindsight, what the fuck? Kevin Owens was Universal Champion? And that belt's 3-year history, it's only had 6 different holders, and genuinely, half of them are forgettable, with Owens is easily feeling the most washed over despite him having still the second longest collective reign. Back to that live shock though, as hard as it is to believe at the time, try to imagine the unreal sensation going on backstage. Keep in mind, this is the Indie Darlings coronation before a locker room that had slowly turned Indie Darling. This was a special ass moment.
It was really the culmination of that journey, man. It was crazy.
Number 3, Becky Lynch tries to fight Stone Cold. With all that shit stirred this time last year over Becky Lynch being the reincarnated Stone Cold, you would swear that WWE left in this clip just to mess with us. While talking backstage, Becky somewhat jokingly asks if Austin still got that itch inside him, you know, that itch to get back into the squared C, which humbly he denies. And as you can tell, this was pretty playful, but in like one of those serious ways where it's like, haha, yeah, who would really want to bring out Stone Cold Steve Austin from retirement just to fight him at WrestleMania? Who would want that? Ah, well, even if these two never have another encounter again somehow, which isn't gonna happen, at least we still got those straight up Steve Austin Sunners.
Man 36 in the main, I can do that. That could be a match in century.
Did you catch that?
Number 2, Rob Van Dam, potentially high, while still signed to Impact Wrestling, breaking the fourth wall. Yeah.
Can't have a Raw reunion without Mr. Monday Night RVD. Am I right? I broke the fourth wall. Bam.
And number 1, Brock Lesnar throws the Universal Championship at Vince McMahon post-WrestleMania. Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. This one actually needs some context. WrestleMania 34 was a pretty strange disappointment of a pay-per-view. Charlotte versus Asuka, AJ versus Shinsuke, Undertaker versus Cena, all potentially match of the year shit, but done in such odd, disappointing ways, and none suffered worse from shaky booking than the main event. Brock Lesnar defending his Universal title against Roman Reigns in the 3 years in the making rematch, and wow, this match was bad. For 15 minutes, we basically watched that SummerSlam 2014 Brock Lesnar John Cena squash match. if it was done wrong. Brock and Roman went out there for a quarter of an hour just to have Lesnar throw all of his power moves at Roman so Roman could power up out of it before Brock throws all of his power back at Roman. But once again, Roman powers out of it. This was a literal fucking power fest. What happens when you throw the single most destructive offense in the ring with the dude who kicks out of every single move, even the F5, 6 times? The crowd was understandably pissed the fuck off, and so was Brock on his way to the back.
Right there. Look at the rage on the face, in the eyes of Reigns. Yes!
And those are 10 shocking recent WWE Backstage moments. What are your thoughts? Let us know in the comments down below. After liking the video, subscribing to the channel, and notifications, and that bell.